Doubles and Coffee, Marvan, Marvelous Marva, Minister Man, you have the audacity to tell the media that Roger Alexander can't read? Let me tell you something here, Marvan. You was the man who had the plan to take the golden hand into the tan van, take it to Stan, who would give it to Fran. But when they told you about the plan, you said, take it to Horace. You, who in our government, who had time while people had no water, because you knew nothing about pressure. You didn't know that leaks break pressure. And when there are leaks and water is spilling all over the nation's roads, you didn't know that that would prevent people from the hillsides from getting water because it breaks pressure. You have the audacity to talk about intelligence, competence, and ability. Kamla Prasad left 74% of the population in 2015 having 24/7 water supply. You, Marvan, 10 years later, got the population down to 12%. Go and listen to the Joint Select Committee in WASA when I grilled your people appointed by you, including Nanga, your chairman of WASA. You who was elected to run WASA because your prime minister said on our conversations with idiots that he chose you because you knew nothing. You who part of a government that had a rigged election. The EBC, Narciscope, Gatsby Dolly, best friend from St. Augustine Girls. You changed boundaries. You try to change boundaries in Tobago. You push here, you push there. You have the entire PNM fake media, news media. You have Guardian, Express, Newsday. You have TV6, you have CNC3. You have 13 radio stations. You have all the money, all the ministries. In HDC, House Ministry of Housing, them hired 2,300 people in March 2025 for the election in April. You have everything, all the resources, and you lost an election by a landslide. And you have time to pretend that you're calling people stupid. You were part of a government that made a woman an attorney general, one who didn't know about credit card or couldn't use credit card, and when she used it, she buy wig, but now she bald head. You had an attorney general who admitted as Minister of Housing that she never even took mathematics. Nobody knew, Nobody asked her, She's so dumb, she making a speech and telling people that I failed maths. In fact, I never even took a mathematics exam. You replaced as National Security Minister the dumbest human being to ever hold public office. Fitzgerald, Etelbert, narcolepsy, sleepy, sativa, ride a horse or the 8-year-old boy in a lap, wooden ladder, Heinz. A man who admitted on radio calmly that I failed common entrance. And then I took 6 subjects and I've passed 1. You who sat in a government with the worst prime minister in history, Keith Christopher Rowley. You sat in a cabinet as Colm Imbe decimated the economy, lied on the energy sector, lied on the finances, lied about the Auditor General, could not provide audited accounts for 2 separate years. And you have time to call people dotish? Marvan, you sat there while another man was selected to be Attorney General who took an inordinate amount of time to pass his law exams, to get his LLB, Faris Al-Rawi, a.k.a. Johnny Sukaran. You ever sat down and asked Johnny Sukaran how he got into law school? Ask Diane Sukaran, who she asked to give a recommendation to get her DUNCE into law school. You sat in a government that took an oil and gas economy, shattered it, lost over 80,000 jobs, caused during COVID with 2 islands protected by sweet, safe salt water. You sat in a government and allowed 5,000 citizens to die of COVID-19 because your government couldn't protect the borders, couldn't deploy vessels, couldn't lock down the borders, and COVID-19 variants walk across the water from South America. You sat in a government that removed scholarships from 400 down to 100 and created bursaries because your constituents, according to you and Gatsby Dolly and the PNM, were not winning scholarships. So rather than improve the education system, rather than improve the teachers, rather than give opportunities, you decide to take away from others. You sat in a government with the biggest failure as a minister of health in history, a man who could not pass a pharmacological exam, but you all made him minister of health. And the only thing that got healthier is his family bank account. His wife company where she works started to get contract. You all had a man called Convent Girl, a man who's an MP in an area, sit down with a beer and then rub him in his constituency. You know how dotish you had to be as an MP to get rubbed in your own constituency as a member of parliament. That means men did not even know who he was. You sat in a government with the biggest set of failures across the board. Square pegs in round hole, including you, Marvelous Marva. On top of that, Marvelous Marva, you so dotish, you didn't know to lock the door home, where in case your wife come home, you didn't know to lock the door on them because your wife might come home and catch you. You who give Eclipse Eli and your government give Eclipse Eli a bus route pass. Tell us why Eclipse Eli have a bus route pass. If he had to take your measurements on time, he had to reach quickly. So before you call people dotish, you the government that put Richie Sukai in the Senate because somebody get air conditioned to feel cool in some corrupt building that went up without any bills, without any accountability. Richie Sukai could not even read from his iPad, but you were part and parcel of that government. You all made him a minister in the Ministry of Works and Transport. That was Sukai, who said the Shaguanas extension and expansion of the highway will finish by since last year. His Jolene John have to finish it. You are a member of the worst government in history that decimated our economy. You have your opposition leader now saying that 2024, they had some growth in the economy. Not even understanding, if you shrink an economy by 40%, and then 4 years later, it grows by 3% over 2 years, that you're still dumb 36.3%. You're still shrunk. You're still small. But you wouldn't understand that. So whether you find Roger Alexander read clearly or fast enough or good enough for you, Roger Alexander is part and parcel of an intelligent government that the people voted for. You and your government got rejected in a landslide. A rejection like never before seen. Why? Because you're dotish, because you're incompetent, because you're heartless, because you're wicked, because you had time to do all kind of things except do the people work. So while you're resting your head in bare building that he went in the parliament to ensure that he didn't have to pay tax for and forgot to disclose the fact, you should slow your roll. You are part and parcel of a government that decimated our country, made Trinbagonians ashamed to be Trinbagonians, made the CARICOM small island members laugh at us. You turned us into a laughing stock as Stuart Small Penny Young became your selected Prime Minister, the biggest dunce to ever hold any portfolio in government, whether it was Minister of Communication, Minister in the Office of the Attorney General, Minister of Energy, Minister of National Security, and selected Prime Minister. You couldn't even read your PNM constitution as Small Pen was selected to lead your DUNCE government into an election called by him and rejected by everybody. You call an election, MARVA, and your government lost. You had all the resources and you lost. You were rejected totally. So whether Alexander could read fluently or talk soft or talk loud, the Prime Minister is Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, brilliant woman who was duly elected by a majority of the people, who's running this country to bring hope, to bring a sense of safety, security, and an essence of character, of high performance to this country. So Marvelous MARVA, you are now the leader of government. You're the chief whip. You're the chief whip in the parliament. That alone shows you how far the PNM has fallen, MARVA. So slow your roll. Next time, lock the door. Your wife might come home